halftime. Misfits on the blue side swapped it up. They won game 2, of course, on blue. We'll see similar sort of bans come out here. I think Yumi down, Draven down. Looking at things like the Poppy as well. Jarvan as well was something that Misfits was targeting.
And have to see if the Sejuani first pick remains king, or queen rather, in this series. The Trundle's been banned a little bit earlier. See how G2 want to mix things up if they do it all. Misfits willing to let the Lucian through some games. Will they be willing to let it through this time around?
There's the Senna ban. There was a response to the Sivir that Misfits have been playing. We expect Sejuani first pick to come in now with the similar sort of bans. Does Misfits want to go for it? Renekton, Sejuani, Sivir, the prior picks we've seen this series. There's a Sejuani. What's G2's response? They're going to be the ones picking away the Renekton. Not going to go for the Lucian Nami. Also going to take a Lulu as well. So that opens up Lulu, Zeri, Aphelios Lulu. Opens up Sivir Lulu on 3 here. How does Misfits respond? Do they want to play something like the Lucian Nami themselves?
And I like that they're picking up the Lulu because in the previous game we obviously saw it banned away from Mersa, and Mersa into the Nami matchup at least was really bullying Targamas out in the early game. So like taking that option away from them, limiting the potential power of the Lucian Nami duo. G2 could just take a page from Misfits' book here, try to shut that lane down. But it looks like Misfits have their eyes on the proverbial prize if the prize is Sivir, and after Neon's performance you can certainly see why it might be. But what support will they pair with it?
To be, I believe his 4th game on Sivir now. Yep. Like he's played Sivir every single game.
Yes.
And the question is, what will they pair with it? Whenever I see Lulu, I always wish teams would be more open to picking Thresh. But no one ever does. They always match the range support into range support. This would be a nice shift up, though. Okay, so we are going to get a little bit more engaged coming out from the Misfit squad. And Mumu, in the support position, is very good at locking down thanks to his large AoE ultimate and the double bandage toss that he has. Can be a little bit weak in lane, but a little bit more aggression coming out from Mersa.
A lot of options here for G2. They could go Sylas here on 3, would be really good into their champs. Could pick up the Zeri, could pick up the Wukong as well. There's a lot of discussion on stage there. But it's going to be the Zeri Lulu for G2. Top and bot lane picked for G2. Flex of the Sejuani and bot lane picked up from Misfits. And we see mid lane being the contested kind of pool now on the 4 pick. We see Ari's on 4, we see Sylas on 4, we've seen Caps as a 0 already.
And of course, I like that we're seeing the Amumu come out early. G2 hesitating a bit on the Zeri, maybe because of how positive some of Amumu's tanky interactions are into the Zeri. But that said, still expect bot lane to be controlled by G2 as they have the double range advantage. For now, though, Gnar being taken off the board. Respecting Zanzar's potential to play that one in the jungle, limiting some of the safer picks on the top side for Irrelevant.
I wonder what Irrelevant will pick top into that Renekton. They can obviously just go to Sejuani.
Yeah,
Gwen is open as well, if he wants to go for something like the Gwen. We've seen his Shyvana, we've seen his Ornn as well.
Aatrox is also an option. It's not the best matchup, but it definitely can be fine. I think he was over in the LCS. I saw it being picked up last night. Yeah, I think ultimately Irrelevant has a lot of options. I'm curious as to what direction Misfits will go for mid lane, because they've actually just banned away the Sylas. Of course, we know that VTO did play the Ahri last game. Will they choose to ban away Caps' Azir?
I wonder. I mean, the Sivir is pretty short range. Their dive is a little bit better already with the Sejuani on their side and the Amumu. Sylas on 3 could have been good for G2, so good ban there from Misfits to deny these big ults from being taken away. There's the Vi ban from G2. I think they're setting up for probably a Wukong on 4 here. Maybe better to just go for the best jungler that they can find and then counter pick mid on 5. Ahri blind could work. Talia we've seen as an answer sometimes.
Yeah, I was also thinking that Misfits could go Ornn here as well. With Sylas and Akali banned. I'm just thinking about what direction they could be thinking of. It makes sense rather that G2 would look for the Wukong right now. Another engage tool. Right now, G2 don't have a lot of reliable engage, or at least access onto the backline. So by bringing in the Wukong, it will give them a little more tools to do that.
Any Malphite enjoyers Irrelevant? I mean, of course, Ornn, Sejuani, Malphite, Sejuani. It's a lot of top-side tankiness next to Amumu. They need DPS. Does VT want to bust out something with a little bit more reliable DPS? We've seen Corki bans yesterday, but we expect the Wukong to be picked up. We also saw his Akali blind in this similar sort of draft. It is going to be the Ornn Sejuani as you identified, Betty.
Has VTO ever played Azir?
Not this split.
But like,
I can check for you
when I think about VTO, like I just can't ever remember him playing an Azir game. But I think Azir could be so good here. Like,
he has no Azir games this year. And he has one Azir game, which he lost.
Ooh,
there's the Corki.
Now that makes a little more sense.
Backup Azir.
Yeah, backup Azir.
Yeah, I expected something like Corki because you have so much frontline engage that you need DPS. You can't play something that's just a bit too bursty like an Akali. You need DPS next to Sivir. The problem that Misfits have is their comp is very AP heavy. Corki, Ornn, Sejuani, and Amumu Merc Treads will be the name of the game for G2. Renekton Rise is a very good classic push mid dive top combo which Corki won't be able to respond to.
And we're in an interesting position for G2 Esports. That might just be a Renekton mid.
Yeah.
They needed a source of reliable magic damage, something that could shred through tanks, and in this case, Gwen does fit the bill because while Misfits were mostly magic damage, G2 were mostly physical.
Broken Blade was laughing there. Oh no, maybe it's going to be Gwen mid. I wonder if G2 is having some giggles here and they're swapping between the two. We have seen caps on Gwen mid, but into the Corki will be a bit annoying early with first strike.
Do you remember what happened in the caps Gwen mid game?
No.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
I remember very little, but I remember it was not very good. Okay, there we go.
This makes a lot more sense to put the Renekton mid, of course.
But does it? Like, how do they beat Corki Sivir late game with this?
Well, they play for early. I think Renekton can try and get the push. They have a really strong topside 3v3 for Herald. And Zeri Lulu is their late game insurance. If topside falls apart, I presume is the thought process here for G2. Maybe like an Azir on 5 there is the reliable, standard,
That's kind of what I would
thing.
expect,
But it's G2, and G2 love to play these shenanigans with Renektons and Gwens.
I really don't
flexes.
like this draft from G2. I'm not a massive fan of putting the Renekton in mid. Like, I'm happy to be proven wrong, and G2 have proven me wrong many times before. But I think what Misfits have gotten for themselves, especially with how last game showed that as long as things don't go too crazy in the early game, the team fights are just going to be crazy. I think Misfits is just better set up for success when it comes to those 5v5s.
Certainly are completely set up for better. I mean, Sejuani, Amumu, Ornn, there's just so little room for the Renekton, the Wukong, or the Gwen to do much of anything, assuming that the Corki and the Sivir can deal damage. That said, Game 1, Game 2, both decided by early game control, snowballing massively. We'll see who comes out on top. Match point, Game 4, G2 versus Misfits.
Before we go into the Rift, I have a couple questions for Dylan Falco here. The casters were debating whether Renekton in the mid lane is a good pick for G2. Give me some insights about the champion.
Renekton mid is like extremely strong early game. There's a lot of like ability to dive enemy mid laner, to win 1v1, maybe even get some solo kills. So I would say it's like an early game focus pick and should allow us to maybe even get Herald or get other early game objectives.
All right, nice strategy. But when you think about the game, I think most people were expecting a bloody series, which we had, but not especially such a close one. Anything that surprised you so far about the games?
I think in like a couple of the games we played, we had, I think, winning bot like 2v2, 3v3 scenarios. In the games where it went well, it was good. But there was, even in last game, enemy Sivir had a lot of gold. And it just makes the game, I think, a bit harder to close out.
All right, thank you for the insights, Lucy. If you guys close out the series, casters, back to you.
Thank you very much, Lore and Dylan. Fantastic to have that insight. Is Vitio spotting a couple of secret agents there in his own jungle, laying down a bit of information as Misfits are moving in to contest this blue buff early on.
Yeah, I think the Misfits, I'll hold my breath for a second as Mercer, I was trying to blast cone target my
Nope, 2 charges!
Spider-Man and Mumu there. I think what Misfits realized is they're going to invade top side with Gwen Wukong, and we're going to lose our blue. So let's invade their bot side just in case.
Targamas cannot go bot lane. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Glacial Oakman. Has to pop the heal. We are, of course, having some technical issues with the overlay. We'll try to get that resolved as quickly as possible. But nevertheless, I think Dylan Falco saying, of course, Renekton really powerful early, can get those solo kills.
Nope.
He's running the PTA. He's running Ignite on Renekton. He wants to get early kills. And we expected it to be around Herald, but they want to scoop up this topside 3v3. Winning top, pushing mid, split the map topside and just try to dive this Ornn. Looks like the idea for G2 right now. It's a question of can Misfits respond with a play of their own. The Ornn will fall behind. Can you get the Zeri behind?
It's a big gamble, for sure, but G2, they love taking gambles. Let's see if they can make it work out. Jankos has his eyes on mid lane right now.
Here comes the first dive. Caps is going to get level 3. He's going to save this Fury, you imagine, for a Flash W Ignite, and Jankos will finish it off. Can he crash the wave, though? He might have to Q here.
Pings are coming down.
I think Vitio's aware of a dive. He might try to W over this Raptor wall if he gets engaged on, but Caps does have a lot of CC with the Flash W. Jankos is going for it.
Vitio on his way out.
He reads the play. Really good response there from Vitio.
Still gets the cannon, too. That's about the best you could hope for in that situation.
It's really awkward, though, because they have so much mid-push that now Jankos can go into his bot-side jungle here. Zanzara's going to have to respond. Maybe Mercer's going to have to move up soon as well, because they know they're going in here. Misfits could set up a trap if Mercer collapses. Jankos is looking for Zanzara.
Zanzara does not win the extended trade. He gets a little bit of burst damage down, but now he needs to get out of here. Cap's already on the way, courtesy of that mid-priority. Jankos should be able to see her Scuttle Crab, but Zanzara still content to fight back because Mercer now coming in to make sure that he can secure this Scuttle.
Okay.
Amumu is such a funny champion.
And he's a teapot.
He's scaring away the giant crocodile. and the monkey, and you can see
Wait,
why.
Caps?
Stunts from big range. Caps getting burned down, ticking ignite, burning, walking away, but he will survive.
There goes all the early game power of the Renekton, though. You need to set up early dives, you need to get these solo kills, but VTO has TP advantage. Caps has no flash, the wave's pushed in. He can even save TP here if he wants. Zanzara might get double crap too. We'll see if Jankos can get around here in time to contest this, smite it away. E forwards maybe get the smite. Broken Blade's on the way. Yes, he will. And now he'll go to his topside jungle. So even though the game's in an even state, summoner spell-wise, pressure-wise, given the champions, Misfits are sitting pretty happy.
So this is why I was really concerned about this Renekton pick, because it is such a massive gamble, because you have to play through it. And VTO, his awareness was so good, it was almost like he's played against this before, right? Where he's seen a Renekton mid and he's like, I know what you can do to me, I'm not going to even take the risk. And even if he sacrifices a bit of CS, it doesn't matter. But what was made... Well, what Misfits did that was very good was that they pushed in bot, and then they rotated Mercer up into the mid lane, only at level 2, to just make sure that that wave gets underneath the tower, VTO can get a good base off, and now he can start stacking up that tier.
And traditionally the Lulu would get the push, but because of the split map, they couldn't actually get the push themselves there, G2. You can see the trades from the Renekton with BTA are quite powerful. Caps can use the Q to try and crash this wave in, and try to see if they can get some roams off.
That's a really great point, Kadril, because let's not forget, Targamas had to burn his flash at level 1, right? Because he tried to get information on what was happening on the blue. So all of these small things that G2 needed to go perfectly in the early game did not go very well.
Relevant fighting in the creep wave. This could be very bad for Broken Blade, but Jankos is on the way out for Relevant. Overstaying, but he's gonna get the kill!
He has
now
ult
it's
as
a
well.
level 6 Zorn. Jankos can't even commit.
Oh, they're going on to Caps with no flash. Zanzara has no flash of his own. Caps is going to have to dash over this wall, but massive step up there from Irrelevant, getting the solo kill onto Broken Blade.
Oh, that's a big slow, Zanzara.
Red buff.
Not gonna commit, he's just gonna be a pain.
Blacken now seeing that he has to go in right now. His spell's already down. Neon might have to flash out of this one. Already burning the ghost. Just trying to walk away. Trying not to burn the flash. Flash out. Lulu not quite able to finish it. G2 responding.
Trades across the board, but let's not forget this Gwen was a last pick for G2 to counter the Ornn, which has now just got solo killed against Irrelevant here. They have bot push. Caps is playing Renekton with no numbers around him. They might look for a dive. Mercer will spot out the Jankos now. Targamas is on the way up. Zanzara can queue over this wall. Could be a bit risky.
He was a little teapot, short and stout. It's Mercer and he's looking for a bout.
Bars. Caps needs to hit level 6 as quickly as he can. That is going to be the big difference maker. Jankos and Targamas now on the way up, pushing them away.
Broken Blade's on the way down. Zanzara no flash. They might just single out the Sejuani here, who has a blast cone. He's going to see Broken Blade now. He's going to blast cone over.
The wall.
Broken Blade went over the wall already. He can queue away as well here.
Swap here.
I think he was scared of Ornald. Broken Blade's only level 5. If he actually commits to that by blast coning over, he has no way out of his own.
I really love this early game. A lot of action isn't necessarily happening, but there's a lot of tense moments. And look, G2, they're going to keep the action going. They have Caps making his way into the enemy jungle. Zanzara doesn't have smite rather.
Mercer now running. He is a little teapot, but Caps is a level 5 Renekton, and that's going to be more than enough to shatter him. Porcelain about to break, but no. Flashing out to safety.
Ignite down for Caps, though. That makes VTO's life a little bit easier. That's exactly what Misfits want to do this whole game long. Just keep roaming mid, make VTO's life as easy as possible to get to 2 or 3 items on this Corki. Level 6 for Caps now. Targamas hovering around, Mercer hovering around, both ADs farming in isolation.
Neon, some alone time on the bottom side, as you highlighted, already level 6. Targamas just ticking over to level 4. Mercer a little bit behind, but I think in the early game, very much favors the Amumu if it's all about roaming. His level 1, even with 2 Qs, much more relevant than Lulu up until about the level 6 point. If it's not in-lane trading. See where they get their EXP from. For now, just a battle of coal farming on the bottom side. Irrelevant, he's ahead in the 1v1, just a little bit. But of course, Gwen's still a massive threat as long as she's not super low.
A lot of pressure on Flacket here. If the top side does collapse, that's the win condition for G2. I mean, Dylan talked about it, Herald fight, that's what they want to look for. Right now, looks like they're slightly behind on the Herald fight. Caps' Ignite might be up for it if they can stall it out. He'll have the level 6. It's just on supports to roam up there to contest the Herald. If Misfits get Herald in this game, it's a disaster for G2. And Flacket will have to be the next line of defense.
That said, G2, while they did fall behind in terms of kills, obviously one on the board, and have mitigated a lot of, or Misfits rather, mitigated a lot of what G2 want to do. Level 6 for both the Gwen, the Renekton, the Wukong, around that Herald. All massive, massive spikes in the game. Something that will have to be respected by Misfits. But as you highlighted, it does feel like G2 are playing on a timer. Betty, you said it in draft. If we go late enough, Misfits obviously just have so many more tools to come out on top of this team fight.
Well, I don't even think it's that late, right? I think even at 2 items, G2's comp just becomes really hard to play. The only saving grace, as Kadril mentioned, is this Zeri, and we've all seen the Zeri moments. We've all been, we've all experienced them firsthand. The question is, can Flacken make a Zeri experience of his own? But that's not to say that G2 are down and out just yet. They still have time. They still have opportunities.
They have a couple more shots, and look at Targamas. He wants Herald. Caps wants Herald, wants to push in mid. Jankos wants Herald, and I think Zanzara said, look, we could contest this Herald, but if we throw it away and fall behind and give this Renekton a kill and a way back into the game, it's going to be a big snowball that we have to deal with. Let's just get Dragons, scale up, stack up, and try to buy as much time for the team as possible, so Jankos will get this pretty much uncontested. They're looking for some kind of cross map, though. It looks like Zanzara wants to threaten some kind of dive onto Flakkid, zone him away from these waves, but Caps is quick to match. Flakkid's trying to block the Q here for Zanzara.
Zanzara going to make it out over the wall. Just a bit of poke damage. Neon grabbing a plate in the meantime. So one plate, as well as the Dragon, now traded in exchange for the Herald. A lot of local gold in the back pocket of Jankos and Broken Blade.
How will VTO use his package, I wonder? He won't have it for another 50 seconds, but with Dragon and Herald down, it might be worth to just invest in it and look for some kind of mid to top or mid to bot here. That's Misfits' only real window to contest this 2v2 in terms of finding their own plays in this early game.
Keeping my eyes on where the junglers are right now. Jankos stealing away the Grom. You can see Zanzara securing his Crow. He's going to make his way back towards the Scuttle Grab. He should be able to secure this one. The question is whether or not he believes Jankos to be pathing towards the bot side of the map. But 3 members now heading top for G2. This is the game plan. Use Caps and Jankos to help set up a dive onto Irrelevant. Then they can use the Herald, open up the tower, open up the map, and start snowballing the game. Let's see if they can pull it off.
Irrelevant needs to stop the wave. He needs to stop the wave from crashing. He might have to ult the wave here if he spots G2.
Sees Caps now. Tries to ult, it might be too late. They've got more than enough CC to stop him. Flashing away, looking for an opportunity to knock it back, but he will not get it. Irrelevant out from under the tower as well. It's an absolute disaster.
But a clean dive from G2. There's very little that Irrelevant can do to really stop that from happening. He committed his flash to try and get away from G2, but with the health bars that they have with Renekton, Wukong, and Gwen, it's an easy dive for G2 and an easy kill.
That's 300 gold. They'll get another plate. That's 420 gold. The question now is, how much gold can VTO get back and Neon get back on these plates? They're going to Herald this tower full. They're going to zone them away from this bot tower. They're going to get a lot of gold on that top tower themselves, but VTO's roaming down.
Trying to lock up Flakkid. Flakkid now cleansing. Mersa waiting on the ulti. They're leaping away. Caps is here, and Caps is massive. Mersa trying to buy as much space as possible. Has the Glacial Augment to try to get something done, but Mersa just getting shredded. Neon in trouble, flashing over the wall. VTO off to the side. Caps hungry for a bit more blood, and it looks like it might just be a Zeri moment. Not a champion you can lock down.
And G2 respond to the dive perfectly. Caps is in the right place at the right time, and G2 have suddenly opened up this early game. It was a big gamble to lock in this Renekton, but Caps is making it work.
It's been blown wide open. Caps makes the top dive happen, doesn't even run mid, runs bot to cover this dive. VTO will get 160 on that plate there, but it's just Zanzara between towers. Thinks, oh, it's 2v3, let's dive. All of a sudden, Caps appears out of nowhere. He flashes away, but Mersa doesn't have a flash of his own, so he gets singled out as the target tries to peel for his team. VTO is a bit slow to the play while stacking up and crashing mid-waves, and it's Flakkid who comes out with a couple kills.
And you can see Zanzara and Neon actually a little bit indecisive there because VTO's on his way. They're saying, we have 4 members, we can make a numbers advantage. That's a really big ultimate, but because they hesitated, that means that they had no room to escape. That means that G2 get kills top, they get kills bot, they got a full tower top, and now they find themselves with a 2k gold lead.
You can see the elation on the side of the G2 support staff because they know this comp needs to win early game, and it is now winning early game. 2K in the favor of G2. Team that's showing up clutch even with a bit of a crazy draft. And yes, it is still weighted in Misfits' favor if we go late enough, but we've seen in game 1 and 2 how quickly these games can end once someone starts snowballing.
Look at Irrelevant. He's ran bot. He's hiding in a bot brush. Flakkid, no sums. Broken Blade might have to TP to this tower if they commit for a full dive. Irrelevant's waiting patiently in this brush next to his bot lane. There's no tower, so he has a lot of time to waste here and just try to look for an opening. I think G2 knows something's wrong here on the map, but with Flakkid stepping forward, he cancels his base thinking about it. Irrelevant might have to TP to this top tier 2, or at least try to run up there. He's going to TP instead. And that'll give away the fact that he was hiding there, and Misfits will have to give up this bot push.
Now the Dragon is only a minute away, and Broken Blade not only has the push, but also has TP, which means that this should guarantee G2 that next objective. And I think Misfits at this point of the game likely don't want to fight anyway, especially with VTO still stacking up his tier. So G2 kind of holding all the cards right now. If Misfits could have gotten a Drake, it would have done a really good job for them. It would have bought them more time rather to scale. Now Mersa's in danger.
Mersa's going to be in trouble. I like it. The Wukong walking as far forward as he can before using the Lulu Q. Try to interrupt the base. Again, Zeri. Oh, the poke.
He's dead.
Look, they've already abandoned him. They've said there's nothing we can do.
Poor little teapot.
No,
so very fragile.
Friends?
He can't even burn any cooldowns. He just knows he has to accept his fate. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Broken Blade being forced away. Ghost now used. But more gold into the back pocket of G2, and crucially into the back pocket of Flakkid. 3-0-1. The scoreline, 300 gold shutdown waiting there on his head if Misfits can find it.
Yeah, they're going to get a full bot tower there, and it looks like Neon's just ran straight top after Mercer was getting dove. Tried to get some plates of his own on this top tier 1. Broken Blade could try to TP up, but he has to be very careful of Misfits threatening a dive with Zanzara and Irrelevant in the vicinity. Maybe they can get a plate or two, but it looks like Neon's just running down towards the bot side of the map. He's looking for maybe a Dragon contest here. Plates are falling off in 10. They can't get a lot of gold off that tower. They can't get the full thing. And with G2 being down in tempo bot side, maybe they just want to push in mid here and set up for a 5v5.
This is the thing about G2. They're playing ahead. They play so well together. Zanzara looking to fire back, looking to get something done. Quick steal away on the buff. Not a lot, but it does help, and it certainly helps Misfits keep control of the bottom side of the map.
Dragon second.
Oh, hang on. I'm surprised that they're actually able to get this one uncontested. I guess after securing the tower, because it took them so long before they could actually kill Mercer. Misfits were already able to reset and get back out onto the map, which means the G2 didn't want to take that fight at that point. They still needed to spend their gold. And this will give Misfits 2 dragons, which is definitely the best position for them to be in because it will buy them more time.
Yeah, definitely. And VTO had the package too, so they were a bit scared of taking that 5v5 straight up. Broken Blade wants to push out top, look for this top tier 2, but didn't have a wave in time to contest while the dragon was being taken, so it looks like Irrelevant will be there in time to catch that wave. VTO scaling up right now, 154 CS. Caps gonna threaten him to use the package. Down in gold still Misfits, but of course we've talked about scaling. G2 need to slowly push this lead a little bit further.
Targamas Jankos collapsing on the bottom side, looking to shut down VTO. The other big scaling factor alongside the Sivir, but complete vision control on the bottom side of the map. Caps can just relentlessly pressure here if the team is there to support.
And indeed, no dive for them. Just gonna crash that wave, allow Caps to go to base and pick up that Blade of the Ruined King. Back into this kind of 1-3-1 setup we've seen before, and Zanzara starting the Herald. I don't think he can do that. He's just trying to fake G2 here into walking into River, make sure that they know where he is. A little bit of pressure on them to push out these waves quickly. Caps actually canceled his base, so now they want to look for some kind of mid dive. It looks like Jankos and Caps off to the side. VTO will move his way towards mid now.
Neon has to be careful here, trying to delete the wave just to make sure that no dive can come through. G2 taking this opportunity to set up on the Herald. And this game, obviously just feeling so incredibly tense. G2 at match point, doing an aggressive draft, and it looked a little bit sketchy at first, but now it's been working out for them so incredibly well. 3-0-1 for Black and 1-0-2 for Caps. The plays around the bottom side, netting them such massive advantages. The second Herald now to their names as well.
Yeah, and let's not forget, if G2 win this game, Mad Lions will lock Worlds. Misfits looking to take us to game 5. VTO will push out bot again. And they don't really want to take any fights here, Misfits. They really want to scale and try to get as many items as possible before they run into this death ball of G2 with the 3 melee champs on the top side.
And as a reminder, Misfits are playing for a spot at the World Championship. G2 have already secured it. They will, with a win here, they will be able to lock a spot in Malmö. Misfits will move down to the lower bracket. And then with a G2 win, that will also secure Mad at Worlds.
Yep.
And then the winner of Fnatic versus XL will go up against Misfits. So a lot on the line for a lot of teams.
At the end of the series, we will know 3 of our 4 Worlds representatives, with the 4th to be decided next week in the lower bracket. A lot of pressure, as you highlighted. Kato, you said at the start of the cast, Misfits, they've been 1 game away before. Right now, they are 2 games away from a spot at Worlds. Locking in their first series of playoffs, obviously such a massive opportunity, but G2, a tall task to be overcome.
Jankos going to herald that top tier 2. Looks pretty juicy. 600 gold in the back pocket. G2 just going to push in mid and move here. Not going to get that mid tier 1, just trying to get as much gold as possible. These champs really need as much gold as possible. Not the best scaling to the late game. The Wukong and the Renekton, so as much gold as possible before these dragon fights in 2 minutes time. See if they can crash it onto a tier 3 here.
Walk it down.
Misfits need to respond to this soon. They're looking for this tier 3.
Trying to lock it down. Zeri looking to chip it away. The knock-up there, but I don't see much of a follow-up. Zanzara fishing.
They defended.
Nice dash there from Flacket to sidestep Zanzara's ultimate. But this tower is low enough that G2 saying, you know what, we'll stick around, we're fine. But now Neon has arrived. The wave clear is here. Caps goes in.
Caps potentially going to get locked down here. The follow-up on the Ornn ultimate. They're going to try to move. They're going to try to sidestep. Caps flashing away. Now using the ult. They're looking to turn back in. Jankos instantly into the backside. Neon flashing out to safety. Mercer waiting, holding onto the ult as long as possible, but he will use it now to lock on Caps. VTO off to the side, but G2 pressing their advantage. G2 looking for more. G2 tearing through Misfits. Jankos going in. They're trading tower aggro left and right. They take down the inhibitor tower. VTO, the last source of damage. Neon finding a kill. kill back, and G2 breaking into the base of Misfits.
They're going to have to back away, though. 3 kills is nice. They can't get this inhibitor. It's too early in the game, and Misfits are respawning too fast. Neon is going to heal up on the fountain. Misfits lost 4 flashes in that fight. G2 dominating on the turn. It looked like Caps had made a mistake, but the backup from G2 was there. They were ready. Broken Blade TP's in, and with Dragon in 40 seconds, I think G2 can reset and set up for that objective.
Just like last split, Flackett is coming up clutch. His positioning was flawless. Playing on the back line, consistently dealing out damage, and Jankos finds his way onto Neon, forces him out. The polymorph thing comes through, stops Neon from being able to offer any additional damage. And then Flackett, alongside Jankos, are able to just mow down whoever's in front of them. With the arrival of Broken Blade, it's all but a one fight, and Misfits are forced to run away as they lose already a tier 3 tower.
Vito a bit too late for that fight. Perhaps if he was there as it kicked off, he could have been the difference maker for Misfits. Dragon's up in 15 seconds. Base is coming in for Misfits. Corky on the top side still hasn't base. I think they're just going to give this one up. But G2 with this lead, we've seen them start Baron on spawn as well, so maybe they want to set up for that too.
G2 continuing to stack more and more in their favor. Misfits front line not tanky enough. Misfits back line not doing enough damage really to come out on top in these fights. We're not able to find the kill. Caps in that exchange, 1 to 8 the kill score. Third Dragon feels like it's all but guaranteed to go over to G2. Zanzara can fish for a cheeky steal, but dying here might just mean an immediate Baron start for the side of G2, so really has to be careful. Every gamble you make at this point could lose the game, could lose the series for your team.
Maybe if he had flash, he could try to Q over, smite it and flash out, but he doesn't. So if he Qs over, he will die. PTO is just going to push in top, try to get as much creeps as possible. G2 are overgrouping slightly, but you can understand why. Contesting midways, getting these objectives. Jankos looking for engage, no flash.
Neon using the ulti, running. Spell shield blocks a little bit of damage. Caps on the chase, Flackett on the chase. Good ulti. Slow G2 down, but so many major cooldowns utilized may just give G2 access to the Baron.
G2 continue to look very good. I was skeptical around their draft, but they are making it work. They are punishing everything that Misfits tried to do. And they're showcasing that their early game is not something that you can afford to underestimate. Broken Blade gonna easily secure this tower. Let's not forget, back during the regular season, Broken Blade on Gwen, he was a large part of some of their massive wins. He was solo carrying a number of games on this champion. Definitely one of his comforts. Definitely something that he can dominate with on a side lane. That's 2 tier 2 towers down now. G2 make their way into the bot side jungle of Misfits. They're gonna clear out some of this vision. And they're going to control more and more of the map as they set up for this tier 1 in the mid.
G2 continue to push that lead. And I'm nervous for Neon. He's only got 2 items. And Caps is about to have 2 items too. But his second item is Prowler's Claw. And a Prowler's Claw Renekton is a very, very scary thing. He's going to die in 2 seconds or he's going to kill you in 2 seconds. And there is very little in between. And sadly for Misfits, with how far behind they are, burning all those cooldowns on Caps could cost them the fight because Flackett and Broken Blade, as you highlighted, are still so damn strong.
They are, and I guess the only good thing for Misfits is Vito's been on a side lane the majority of this game, so he's got quite a hefty CS lead. He's level 14 right now. Caps is very close to level 13, but a big level advantage for the Corki. Time is all Misfits need, but G2 will not give them any. I think after this top push and with Zeri coming back out on the map with TP on Broken Blade soon up, I think G2 will look to start forcing this Baron if they can get this mid tier 1, which is so crucial so they can push Misfits this tier 2 and buy themselves more time on the Baron start.
You can see DTN knows this could be the last fight. Maybe would love to have an opportunity to build something like the Ludens. Instead, has to get the stopwatch here. Knows that surviving in this fight, finding an advantage here, not giving up the Baron, might be Misfits' last chance to take us to a game 5.
Jankos will find Zanzara. Doesn't decide to commit to the engage. BTO hovering around, trying to poke them out, trying to defend some vision in their own jungle. G2 now setting up for that Baron, now hovering all onto this top side. Bot wave is pushed in. Jankos still fishing for an engage. BTO playing very safe. Neon on the side.
Getting a little bit of poke back, but really not too much overall. Zanzara has to wait for that passive to come back up. Will be now, so can't start to walk into the area. Spell shield down for Neon. Again, these small windows could be capitalized on by G2.
Mid push from Neon, trying to contest Flackett. Make sure that they can't get the wave into tower so G2 cannot siege. Still, G2 trying to look for some vision here. Bot waves will slowly bounce back into Broken Blade, so he's happy just sticking around here, threatening, looking, fishing for something. Jankos now hiding on a bush, will get spotted by the rocket. Damage connecting, irrelevance here too.
Good bit of poke.
And G2 can slow the game down a slight bit here, waiting for Flackett's Infinity Edge. He's very, very close, and we'll put him on that 3-item spike.
Mersa fishing for an opportunity on a Caps. Caps going to double dash out. Jankos off to the side, getting chipped lower and lower. Zara now starting to feel a little bit more confident to fight back. A lot of recalls coming out, but Misfits seeing their opportunity to push forward and contest Vision.
Irrelevant's gonna have to base here and catch bot tier 3 waves. Broken Blade base a little bit earlier on to run down there. Vision contest in favor of G2. They hold the line. Misfits get a couple sneaky wards down in their own jungle, but nothing will come out of that. Misfits Dragon in 1 minute 20. Do they fight it? I think they're waiting for Infinity Edge on Neon as well. Flacket's just picked his up.
Pressure.
It looks like that. Well, Misfits, I think they could be pretty happy right now. Obviously, you find yourself with an 8k gold deficit, so happiness may be a bit of a stretch, but they're just buying time.
You can find yourself alive right now.
Yeah.
Difficult situation to be certain.
You have to imagine the pressure only continues to mount for Misfits. They were 1 game away from Worlds last year, and they fell short. It was to Inspired Viego. And then again, they fell short to Fnatic. Now they have an opportunity to bring themselves to a match point against G2, a game 5, something that very few teams have been able to do domestically.
Fnatic last close. The only team this year to take a best of 5 off of G2, and domestically, that is.
And I think one team fight will decide the game. Either G2 just wash Misfits away and get a Baron, and that's basically it. Misfits have no time left, or Misfits find a miraculous fight, get the Baron, make a huge comeback, even up the gold, and then the scaling carries them through. Jankos looking for Neon's flash there, gets the on the hunt out of the Sivir. VTO still 2 levels up on caps. You can see him constantly moving towards mid to try and help his team to make sure he's there and ready for the engage, but VTO slowly getting further and further ahead, building towards something like a Guardian Angel. Jankos again fishing for an engage, pushing Zanzara out of his own jungle.
Just poking left and right,
VTO.
using the ult. VTO off to the side. He needs to turn here onto Caps. Prowler's Claw already used. Caps getting chunked so incredibly low. TPing out now. Flacking to try to do as much damage as he can, but he's just fishing. They're looking for an opportunity. No! Just barely escaping. And in the meantime, the Dragon has now already been started by Misfits. A brief moment of chaos maybe going to be enough, but Neon now caught out by Broken Blade. The rest of the team on the way. Mercer ready to step forward at a moment's notice. The Mist already used now. Moving out to safety. The Ornal from downtown. Maybe, just maybe they can take down Broken Blade, but that is going to be so difficult. The Gwen, incredibly powerful. Maybe. No, Broken Blade buying so much time. It is G2 on the Baron, as you highlighted, Cadril, the ones who can find the advantage. It's a split map, it's a split fight, it's absolute chaos. VTO moving in, moving back onto the map. Jankos now looking for the fight, looking for a bit more, and there's the package! But VTO caught out, locked up mid-air! VTO gonna get taken down, there's just no way. There's nothing he can do, he's got the W up, he tries to leap out to safety, but G2 just dissecting Misfits. It's absolute chaos, but chaos is where G2 thrive.
It's exactly that. Dracos, G2 just dominate Misfits all across the map. Caps looked like he was going to lose his life, but really he was just buying time. Broken Blade in a 1v3 on the bot side of the map. Able to walk away with what was a small victory, results in a massive Baron for G2, and likely the series.
It was split decisions from Misfits. VTO TP's out, Neon starts Dragon, Zanzara's contesting Baron, Mercer and Irrelevant trying to peel to help this Dragon go down. Broken Blade was the hero of that play for G2, pulling so many members down to this bot side so they could force this Baron and pick it up. They're going to get the Dragon too. Broken Blade really close to that Rabadon's death cap too. And with VTO investing in a Guardian Angel third item and then losing it straight away, that stings so much in the scaling department. We'll see that again because I think Caps' W gets cancelled by VTO's package W into the brush. No, he actually doesn't connect it. He still has it up. So TP comes out. Goes towards mid-tier 2, and he's healthy enough to take another fight, but it's Neon who starts Dragon, interesting enough. Broken Blade almost solo kills him. Nice movement from Neon to dodge the R2, but then he has to flash away nevertheless because he auto-attack clicks a blue orb. But now it's 2 tanks up against Broken Blade while the rest of them are on Nash. VTO's in base, Neon has the base, it's just Zanzara on his own.
And Misfits not finding a single opportunity to fight as 5. Fighting without their front line. And everything's starting to fall away. Broken Blade confident to step forward here. So difficult to take him out, but maybe they've got enough CC. The Mist now coming down. Broken Blade on the retreat. G2 ready to collapse. Their siege is pretty bad. With the Baron, it's okay, but should be okay for Misfits for now to hold the line.
Flacket though, level 15. Same level as Ornn, and only 1 level behind Broken Blade. As long as he can get onto those towers, the damage will be real. He's been involved in 10 of the 11 kills. And you know, we did talk a lot about Jankos in game 1. We talked a lot about Caps in game 3. Flackhead, he's doing exactly what he did last playoffs. He's really leveled up. And last playoffs, low expectations of him, but he always manages to go above them, and he's doing the same again here. 1 more win will lock G2 in top 3. Will lock them a spot at Malmö. And they will continue their dominance here in Europe.
Ornn upgrades coming through, level 15 Irrelevant right now, but VTO doesn't have a Mythic, so he can't upgrade the Cork. He's going to have to upgrade someone else for now as he builds towards that Ludens, but Neon has the 3 items, but it's a massive gold lead for G2 right now, and Flackett can dash on top of Irrelevant.
Oh.
And we've got a pause.
That was very dramatic, Daniel.
Oh, I heard it in the crowd. I kind of just followed the leader. Good job, guys. Have a break. Here's my question, Berlin.
Hit us.
Dear audience, not as much for you guys. You guys can answer
Okay,
too.
cool.
I've heard the G2 fans. G2 fans, I appreciate you. You've been here all night. Misfits fans, where are you? Because if there is a time right now that your team needs you, it is this time. They need you now. Backs against the wall, 10K deficit. Feels like a nigh unwinnable situation. But if they hear you, maybe, you have to know.
That's what G2 fans do.
That's the thing. We're getting back in the game. It's a peripheral issue. Misfits fans, I hear you. I hope they can hear you too, because the G2 fans, they want to take everything from you. Even your crowd cheers, they will steal and turn into an opportunity to support their team further. We'll see if the G2 team can do the same, continuing to extend their lead, continuing to push forward. As it is Misfits, again, backs against the wall. Elimination game in the series, but not elimination series, as they will get a chance next week. They will face the winner of Fnatic versus Vitality next week if they fall here.
Excel.
Yes, sorry, Excel, wow. Well, you can see how surprised I was by that result. Anyway, Blackett pushing forward, and I think this might just be it. G2 are too strong. Yeah, their siege isn't great, but if they play on this many lanes, it's just easy for them to start to break down these towers. Mersa, the little teapot that could, just trying to find an engage, trying to find an opportunity. They're throwing everything they have at G2, but it's scattered. It's chaos. Oh no, Misfits, they needed coordination. They needed team play. VGO with the Rockets maybe can do enough to slow this down, but all of the ultis going wide is not what Misfits needed.
3 inhibitors down. G2 will own the map all game long. The super creeps will start to pour in, and G2 can just sit and wait, and Misfits will have to make some kind of miraculous engage if they want to hold on, if that. So G2 will just back away, wait for those creeps, match them, lock Misfits in their base, and close this one out.
Hey, K-Drop, you were around when Reckless was a pro player, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the severe 500 CS win condition?
Oh, Betty, you're coping too hard.
What do you want from me, man? What do you want from me? He's got 3 inhibitors down, okay? If Reckless can do it, why can't Neon do it, huh? You know what I mean? I gotta sell him what I can, you know?
Yeah, you sold me for a second. Until I realized how big this gold lead is and how strong G2 are. I mean, they just have to shepherd the waves in. We'll see them just run straight
That's
mid.
an infinity edge on Sivir. You know what I mean?
It was there before. It was before. It was there before.
I mean, okay.
Also,
There's a BF sword
VTO
as well,
is now
eh?
buying Lightning Jewel, so he will not have a Mythic probably ever in this game.
No.
Difficult situation to be sure. He's still hitting like a truck, though. Still a scary boy, but
Like 3 trucks, but yeah.
he needs to hit like 3. No, he needs to hit like 3. He's currently 1 truck. He needs 3 trucks worth of damage.
Here it comes.
There are 3 trucks flying at him right now. One of them's called Flackhead, another one's Broken Blade.
Yep.
Caps right behind him.
There's the waves. Here's G2.
Pushing
Misfits on their best wave clear.
That's a lot of
Tower
wave clear,
defense.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, they need to wait for bot waves here, G2, so the 3 can crash at similar sort of times. Because, of course, Sivir and Corki have good wave clear, but G2... I mean, the waves are getting blown up, aren't they? Misfits.
My name is Sivir.
Surely these waves will be able to crash so G2 can look for a dive. I mean, they're coming in one by one.
Jankos fishing for it, sees an opportunity, hits both the carries, and immediately they get into the back line. The final march for G2 as they barrel down the bottom lane, as they move into mid. Misfits know it is done. G2 have secured their spot in the top 3. They have secured a place in Malma. They will face Rogue to see who will stand atop the bracket as we head into the LEC finals.
Fantastic game out of G2.
I was worried.
Yeah, a little
I
bit
was
of doubts
worried.
on the Renekton. Can they make it happen? Early game looked a little bit shaky. You know, the Renekton losing sums, not actually getting that first dive off. Corki having a pretty safe lane phase, but then it's just all exploded and G2 got a couple kills and ran away with it.
The top dive into the bot protection
Yep.
from Caps, everything from that point on was just flawless from G2. They really did dominate with their early game leads, and they're looking like a force.